Hello, welcome to episode 2 of Oscar's Teen Years, or the adventures of Oscar, Eric and Susanne. Here they are, that's Oscar and Eric. And then here comes Susanne. She's only a little girl yet. She is Eric's little sister. They are currently all in the boarding school on Moonfall Island. One of the grown-up residents of the boarding school is Gaylord Coffee. He loves to play pool. He's practicing a trick. Gaylord is Eric and Suzanne's great-grandfather, and if you have the game, you will have Gaylord in it because he can be found in the graveyard in Sunset Valley. Sometimes when you first launch a new game in Sunset Valley, you get told that Gaylord has just died of starvation because of the want of a sandwich. But I went and found him, dug him up, and eventually I revived him, so he's no longer a ghost. And he's living here happily in the boarding school at Moonfall Island. Several of the young Sims who are residents in the boarding school have decided that they really want to make some potions. Here's Eric. He's the oldest of the teens currently at the boarding school. And Oscar, of course, is the youngest. He's just aged up from child. There are currently 8 children at the boarding school, and there's 3 of them working hard at the chemistry table. From left to right, they are Gavin Flower, Kirsten Fawkes, and Gator Wolf. I'll introduce you to them properly later. Coral Carpenter is a young adult. She has not got very many skills. She's in the education career now, and she was made new and put into the boarding school. She's one of the 7 boarding school nannies. The little fairy, Greg Flower, is now watching TV. I think he might be watching the fishing channel. And the other child sitting across the way there is Greg Watson. He should be Greg Craig, so I'll be fixing that up at the end of the episode. And he is reading fishing bait books. The teens and older are reading fishing bait books and recipe books, but the children can't read the recipe books yet. And Greg comes from Moonlit Falls. He's obviously got a high fishing skill level. He's probably up to level 7 by now, because I usually get them to level 7 before I get them to start reading books. This is the area that's been set aside for children. There's no toddlers here at the moment. There were toddlers here, but now all of the toddlers that were here have aged up to child. Hello, somebody's on the, that's Oscar, I think, yeah, on the trampoline. And the one with the red striped top on, that's Wilhelmina Wolf. She is Gator's teenage sister, and of course Gator and Wilhelmina, and their mother is here too, Erica Wolf. They're all werewolves, and they'll be going back to Moonlit Falls. If you have the Supernatural expansion pack in your game, then you will find the Wolf family in Moonlit Falls. And the fairy that Wilhelmina's talking to is Kaylee Flower. Wilhelmina thought she'd like to learn something about logic and potion making as well. They gain logic skill when they're making potions. Eric loves to paint. He's been level 10 at painting for a long time. Of all of the Sims in this boarding school, or in this game, Eric would be one of them who I've played the most. So he's got a lot of skills and a lot of experience. And now Wilhelmina's been joined by 2 of the children. On her left is her little brother Gator, and on her right is Kirsten Fawkes. Kirsten is the daughter of 2 of my Sims, and I didn't know she existed, and I found this child wandering alone around town, and she was always just wandering alone around town. So I put her in the boarding school and discovered to my surprise that she was one of mine, and I missed her. She didn't get any toddler training, but she's making up for it now. Gator is one of 2 children who just love to hold court. There seems to be at least 2 motive mobiles in this household. They're usually parked downstairs in one of the basements. It's reached its destination outside the Gothic Library. The world comes with very few builds in it already, and I thought it'd be fun to use the Gothic Library. Coral Carpenter is in the education career, and she's short on charisma skill, so she's come to read all about charisma in the library. I've added those little shelves with the skilling books in them. They didn't come with the library. I think this was the first venue that they put out with the Sims 3. I had a bit of a problem. I had several children that needed to learn to fish, and there were no fishing spots close by, so I made them a pond in their backyard. Haven't added a pond to it at Sim's home for literally years, real life years. I just usually send them off to a fishing hole around town somewhere. That's Mary Azul standing there fishing, and little Gator just standing there next to her. Mary is a clone of the mermaid Mia Azul, and she will be going back to live with Mia Azul once she has learned enough skills as a child. I like my Sims to be up to level 7 in fishing so they can read all of the fishing bait books. And I've decided that this group of children might as well get up to level 7 in fishing and read the bait books before they go home to their parents. And there's Gator, he's come down to a lower level and he's fishing there with Mary. There's Coral still in the library. That's Sim reading. I'm not sure who she is, but she must be one of my Sims, because this world was unpopulated. It looks like Wilhelmina and Eric have joined Mary and Gator fishing at the little pond. They all need to grow their fishing skill up to level 7. And then they're all going to read all of the fishing books. We won't watch them all do all their reading though. There's aliens about as usual, and Jeanette Bright is being abducted. She's a teen. She came to the boarding school as a child from Barnacle Bay. She was living with the Inkbeards and she doesn't have any parents, so I'm not sure where she came from. I don't think she usually comes with Barnacle Bay. I think she might have been generated by the game as a homeless Sim and got herself a home. I think I'm going to keep her in the boarding school until she becomes a young adult, and then she can move out into her own home somewhere. We'll see where she fits. Later the next day, there is Jeanette watching TV, and there's Harvey Miller reading in the background. Harvey is one of the young adults who was made and put into this boarding school. We're gradually getting through, meeting all of the occupants. There's 19 in all. This is Gaylord Coffee. There's 19 Sims in the boarding school, and of that 19, 8 are children, 4 are teens, 6 are young adults, and Gaylord is the only adult. I was hearing a strange moaning sound, and I was wondering where it was coming from. So I had to go and have a look around. There are 4 basement levels, and Gaylord's sitting at the bottom, and this is 2 levels above where Gaylord is sitting. And you can see where the cars are parked. And that's the garden. It's not a very big garden in this boarding school. Who's that? She doesn't belong here. She's not one of the residents of the boarding school. Maya Ocean. My goodness, what's she doing down here? This is the second top basement. She's let herself into the house uninvited, and now she's trying to wish for something, throwing coins into the wishing well. Well, I don't mind. It's good to see that she's still got her scales. Most of the mermaids that are living in this world at the moment have lost their scales. I'm going to have to track them all down eventually and give them all the lifetime reward of permanent mermaid. I know that Triton King's lost his scales. When I move Mary Azul back to live with Mia Azul, I will use that as an opportunity to go around and find all the mermaids and fix their scales and make them permanent mermaids. Now we're way up the top, and at the second top level of the house, and there is Maya Ocean working out in the background. She's found the martial arts skilling tools. And the sim reading is Isabel Howe. She's not brand new in that I made her a long time ago, but I haven't played with her much, so she's got no skills except what she's learning here while she's at the boarding school. Most of the young adults who are at the boarding school will learn a few skills and read some books, and then I'll move them out into their own homes, and we'll put some new unskilled young adults in here to take their place, because they're supposed to be training the toddlers and looking after the children and teens. They're the nannies of the boarding school. That's Harvey Miller sitting there, and Erica Wolf is the other one sitting reading. It's after school, and 3 of the teens are sitting at one of the tables on the front veranda. That's Wilhelmina, Oscar and Jeanette, all doing their homework together. Oscar somehow or other managed to get singed. If they've just returned from school, he must have gone to school like that. Sadly, I don't always keep good control of my sins. You better have a shower quickly. I'll let him finish his homework first. Coral's home from her job in the education career and's found an available computer to sit and play computer games. I'll have to get her reading something useful shortly. Here's Gator arriving home from school. He'll sit down and do his homework straight away. Most of them do just sit and do their homework, but I still need to check them all each day to make sure they have done it, because I don't want to decide to age somebody up and then discover that I've got to wait for them to get their school grades up a bit higher. If I'm playing them and I want them aged up, I do it. And Gaylord's off to work in the music career. He wants to be a hit movie composer. Looks like Maya Ocean's still hanging around, and she is fishing in their fishing hole now with Eric. Eric's little sister, Susanne, has found some trash that she wants to throw out. At least she puts it in the little bin upstairs in the kitchen instead of going all the way down to the garden where the recycling bins are. I'll have to put one of those recycling bins up on this level somewhere, because everyone from teen and up in age goes down to the second bottom basement every time they find something they want to put in the bin. Isabel's not eating bad food. Those flies are from the plate beside her. She's eating a fresh salad. Hopefully everybody caught the bus this morning on their way to school. I usually have to stop somebody from doing something and tell them to go to school. It isn't just an automatic thing. I don't want them skipping school. This is the school that they've arrived at. Put a few gates there so they could all get in a gate fairly quickly. Now they've all got to stand and line up to go in. This is only a small school building, and I think it's only got one entrance. So there's no point adding a mod to use more than one entrance. Sometimes we see other Sims from other households going to school. All of the children and teens from boarding school are lining up now to get into class. There'll be 12 students going into school just from the boarding school. This little Sandy Seaworth that just went in. And Gate is going in last of all. Sandy Seaworth is a clone of Salty Seaworth, the mermaid that comes with Island to Paradise. Oh, that's one of the little Steele girls. Her name is Barbara Steele. They are cousins of Eric and Susanne because they share one grandparent, their grandmother, Patience. You'll hear a lot about Patience in this series. There goes Erica running off to work. She's in the athletic career. I think she's about level 4. Her lifetime wish is to become a superstar athlete, and that means she's got to get to level 9 in the athletics career. It's homework time again. Everybody's home from school. There's Coral reading recipes. Oscar's sitting there at the table thinking about it. Oscar has a wish to kiss Anne's sister, Genevieve Steele. He also wishes to kiss Wilhelmina. He's a flirty sim. The children are coming home now too. There's little Mary Azul, a little cloned mermaid, and Gate has just come in the door. Most school days after school, one or more of the 6 Steele children and teens will come home with somebody from this household, or somebody from this household will go and visit the Steele household. There's a lot of friendships developing between the members of the both households. Jeanette Bright looks like she's a bit tired. She's had a big day at school, but she's got to do her homework. And when she's done that, she's got lots of reading to do because she's a teen and she needs to read recipes as well as fishing bait books. She's just recently aged up to teen. She aged up and then Oscar aged up the next day, so they're very close in age. And she's got plenty of time to get her studies done, I suppose. And there's Erica. It's been full moon and now she is in werewolf form. And little Greg Watson, they're playing with his imaginary friend doll. I've managed to get all of the young Sims, the teens and children, to have imaginary friends. I found out a way of sharing them around. It's time for Erica to go to work and she's in werewolf form. I had a moment's panic. I thought, I've got to do something about this. But then I decided it was just too difficult. So she went to work as a werewolf, and I worried all day how the rest of her co-workers were going to cope, but I didn't hear or see any evidence of any negative repercussions. Wilhelmina's got into werewolf form as well now. I suppose Gator will be a little werewolf at the moment too. Must be a full moon night. That's Erica sitting over there at the computer. That's Kaylee Flower, the fairy. Gator's walking normally. He must have avoided converting to werewolf form, or else he's already changed back. Wonder where everybody's going. And we've got a singed little fairy there. The way the game is being played at the moment, anytime you see a singed sim, assume that they got blown up at the chemistry table, because all of the children and teens are taking it in turns to discover potions. That sim with the long hair and the white shoes on and the pink around the middle, that's Eloise Britton. She is, or the leader of the boarding school, and when Oscar lost his parents and his house was on fire and he was at home alone and all the bits of meteor were scattered all around the place, she travelled to his world and collected him and took him back to the boarding school in Chocolate Cake Island. And then when they moved to Moonfall Island, she took the children with her and set up a new boarding school here. That looks like Susan Coffey, Mary Azul and Greg Watson. They're making potions at the moment. Yes, Oscar needs to work on his gardening skill, and the garden's going to ruin. I sent him down there to just dispose of all the dead plants. I don't think this adds to his gardening skill while he's doing this, but at least he's down in the garden. I'll get him back down there shortly. He's only just aged up to teen, so he doesn't have much of anything that he couldn't do as a child. And he didn't have a lot of skills as a child either. Necessary ones, plus a few other little bits and pieces here and there. It took him a while, but finally he managed to get rid of all the dead plants. So then he decided he'd head off upstairs to see what was happening up there. See, these are the recycling bins that everybody comes down to throw everything into the bin. They don't use the little bins that I've put upstairs. I'll have to change it and put a recycling bin upstairs somewhere. That's the group science project there. It takes up all levels because it's got a big flame that comes above it, so that's why it's got such a big empty space above it and a whole area in the basement set aside just for it. The problem with that, of course, is that when they get to level 10 of the science skill, they get awarded a group science project, and it's extraordinarily difficult to let them go home with their group science project. So there's about 7 or 8 of them in the family inventory at the moment. I'm thinking I might have to put that group science project away to stop them from maxing their science skill, because I can't get another one. I think there is a tricky way of getting one from Bodybug, but I can't remember how to do it. Looks like Oscar's going to work on his logic skill while he tries to discover a potion. So Gaylord has joined them now by the look of it. I'm trying to get the nannies trained and everything as well. Eric reading a bedtime story to his little sister. I heard a noise and went looking for where it was coming from and discovered Eloise on her soapbox ranting loudly about something or other. And managing to get a lot of potions made, a lot of success there. They're also, of course, getting singed occasionally as well. In the end, several of the children ended up making all 10 available potions. Along with the other nannies, Erica had a go at it too. I was surprised to discover that Mary Azul's imaginary friend had become alive. It isn't real yet, it's just only she can see it, but at least she can have pillow fights with it. I didn't want to make any of them real until they'd moved to their own homes, but I think once they've been made alive, it doesn't make much difference. They're counted as a sim anyway, although they live in the homeless Sims household when they're alive, but not made real yet. I think I'll make this one real soon. I don't mean real soon. I'll probably leave it a while, but I will get her to make her imaginary friend real now that it's become live. After the pillow fight, they ran around outside for a while, but it was Mary's bedtime, so the little doll just sat down on the grass and resumed being a little doll. Now, this boarding school is supplied with all the equipment that the Sims need to learn, but it doesn't have any of the books from the 3-world adventure worlds. So I decided the way to get them was to send Gaylord and Oscar, and I thought I'd send Wilhelmina with them, give her a trip overseas while Oscar went and bought the books. I also thought I'd give Oscar a chance to kiss her just once. But she wasn't interested. She's got a romantic interest. He's Eric. I wonder if that's going to last or not. I haven't made any decisions about Eric yet, but it's possible. But then, teenage romance, who knows where it'll go. She's going to go back to live in Moonlit Falls with her mother, and he's going to go travelling around about 13 different worlds with Oscar and Susanne. We'll see how they feel when that's all over. Meanwhile, we'll just have a little look at their time in China. Wilhelmina spent most of her time just fishing at abandoned barn. Oscar joined her there after he'd bought the books, and Gaylord went wandering, did a bit of excavating, and then he went off to I think it's Hahn's orchard, and he picked some fruit and vegetables, and then he did a bit of fishing, and then they went home, and he stayed there for less than one day. But they got the books, and that was what we needed. Before he started fishing, he played with his kite for a while. Surprised he tried to fly it in a tree, but I suppose he's a sim, and you can't expect much from a sim. That kite came with the toy shop. I think that was Midnight Hollow World. Got all those extra toys. He caught that butterfly that was flapping around there for a while, and then he went and fished for a little while. But we had to go home. We only were here for a few hours. Didn't even stay a full day. But we've got other Sims to go to other worlds to get other books. Gaylord's little group went home, and Eric and Erica headed for Champ Les Sims to buy the French books. They won't stay in France for long. Eric will just go and buy the books, and then they'll have a quick look around, maybe do a bit of fishing. We'll see. When Eric was buying his books, there were several other customers in the bookstore, but he put his order in and he bought 2 of some and 1 of others. We want to leave 1 of each in the boarding school, and Oscar can carry another 1 of each with him in their travels, because I'm expecting Oscar and Eric and Susanne to continue their studies while they're travelling. Of course, once he had his books, being a witch, he decided he needed to show off a bit of magic. But everybody ignored him. When Eric had played with his magic for long enough, he ran off to join Erica at the little fishing hole. She went there to do some fishing, and he went there to catch some butterflies. There's always lots of butterflies at the little fishing hole. Whenever he caught a butterfly, there was always another one off in the distance. So he ran around chasing all of the butterflies he could see, and eventually he found a mysterious set of steps leading down into the ground. He had a look at it and he thought, that's dangerous, anybody could fall down there, or they could walk down. So Eric and Erica decided to explore what was down that mysterious staircase. They came across a large, very spooky room with lots of confusing doors and strange shapes in the walls. They saw another set of stairs, and they decided to go down, and they kept going down until they came to another large room with no more stairs that went down, but there was a big pond of green swirling water, and it was so inviting that they decided they'd better jump in and see what happens. Eric went first. Eric went down to the depths of the pond, and he swam around, and there were bubbles, and finally the bubbles cleared a bit, and he saw there was some sort of a tunnel. Perhaps he should swim through it. Yes, let's go. And he did, and suddenly he was at the surface again, and he was in a new room. Where was this? Aha! It's on that little island in the middle of the river. I was wondering how you get there. Erica followed him across, and soon they were up at the surface, caught a few butterflies, and then travelled home. Back at the boarding school on Moonfall Island, I found Mary Azul playing with her imaginary friend, and I thought, well, they're getting on so well together, and this little friend is running around all over the place. We might as well make him real, and he can start learning some skills. Otherwise they're just going to be pillow fighting and playing tag all of the time. I'll give him a custom skin in Create a Sim, but I won't do much else to give him a makeover. I will wait until we take Mary Azul and Sandy Seaworth back to Mia Azul's place. And Petal will be part of that household as well. That's Gator holding court. He does that all the time. Sandy Seaworth does it a lot as well now. And we've got Sims heading off to Egypt to go and buy some recipe books. I think it's just going to be a single sim. Just go and grab the books and come back again. It looks like Isabel's decided to travel to Egypt just as the school bus is arriving to take all the children to school. This is the sort of times when I've got to tell sims like Gator Wolf to stop being in court and go and catch the bus and go to school. I don't think anybody has skipped school yet. So Isabel is on the way to Egypt, and here she is in the Egypt marketplace looking for the bookstore. Took her a while to find it. It's hidden in the back there, in behind the relic merchant. But there she is, and now she's buying 2 of each book. And we couldn't leave Egypt without exploring a little bit, so she went to the oasis and did a little bit of fishing. I don't think she stayed long enough to catch anything though, and then she headed for home. I thought we should see a little bit of action in Egypt, a little bit of the scenery. You're not going to see much. All of the tombs have all been done, so there's nothing much you can do in the tombs, but you can go fishing, and then we'll have her doing a little bit of excavating, and then she will head off back home, where she's going to find a disaster in progress. She gave up on the fishing, and now she's trying to find some relics or some treasure here by excavating an excavation spot. If you're keen to see tomb walkthroughs, well then I've got a whole series of every walkthrough on every tomb, the Isla Paradiso Bunch, playlist 2. Isabel finally gave up on her excavating. She found quite a few bits and pieces, and she arrived home just in time to help her household members panic. The boarding school on fire. At least Eloise had the sense to get the fire extinguisher to work. We don't have any fire alarms, so I suppose the fire brigade didn't get called. Eric's a coward. He will faint at anything. I think he fainted when he saw that fire. He wasn't much used to helping them panic or put it out. After the fire was successfully extinguished, the household had a couple of events to attend at the school. Oh, look, there is Genevieve Steele. She is the one that Oscar wants to kiss. And there's Eric and Susanne have arrived. And Eloise is, I think this is the scouting ceremony where Greg Watson is to receive a scouting trophy. And then we will have a ballet recital for Petal. And we might, if we've got video of it, see her in her little ballet dress for about half a second. Sandy Seaworth's going to be there too, by the look of it. He's just arrived. And Barbara Steele looks like she's heading off home now. She must have had enough of the ceremonies, or maybe she was held back at school. We will see quite a lot of the Steele children. They are, after all, cousins of Eric and Susanne. Barbara's got a couple of brothers coming out as well. That, I think, is Greg Steele, and his little brother Bart will be out shortly as well. Their grandfather, of course, is Christopher Steele from Sunset Valley, and Oscar's arrived for the ceremony. And there's Bart Steele. He's just heading off home as well. I think that's all of the Steele children who were in the school at the moment. I think the only one we didn't see was Anne. There is another child, Donna. We didn't see her yet. She must be around somewhere. The townies often come and play in the schoolyard because I've got the school building on a big lot with 2 or 3 other rabbit holes. And I can't understand why Gaylord's running around in swimwear all the time lately. See the little one in pink? That is Petal in her ballet outfit, and she's about to spin into her usual outfit. So everyone's coming out. The ceremonies are both over now, but Petal does look cute as a ballet dancer. I was hoping to squeeze some more of the story into this episode, but it seems we've run out of time. So this would be the end of the video. Please give it a like if you've enjoyed it, because it will help having these videos offered to more people. If you interact by liking or commenting on the video on YouTube itself, then YouTube will decide it must be an interesting video and will offer it to others to watch. And if you don't interact with it on YouTube, they'll think it must have been terribly dull. So this is the end of this video. If you have enjoyed it, give it a like. And if you want to see the rest of the episodes, I will be doing another 2 episodes at least of this before I move on to a different series, because I'm going to rotate through several different series now that I've finished the 30 Grandchildren series. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye for now, and happy simming. Some of the little Sims are sitting around the corner and they're reading the books that were just brought home from the World Adventure Worlds. Or they could be doing their homework. Eloise is talking to one of the mermaids that I made for the Colourful Mermaids series. When I finished making that series, I moved all of the mermaids into this game. And I think most of them are living in this world. Bye bye, that's it for now.